All right, so what's going on, guys? I apologize ahead of time for how loud it is in the bowling center today. Today we're just going to have a conversation about the current state of bowling and what do I think about this epidemic of so many new bowling balls, if you can even call it that. But before we get into any more of this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. My 500 grit chamois is completely sold out, but if you follow the link in the description, you can get notified when it comes back in stock. It should be coming up pretty soon. So yeah, that's where we're at. So this video is kind of be two topics about bowling, right? The current state of it and basically my opinion on what I think about how many bowling balls are being released and do I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, everyone has their own opinion. I would like to hear yours because there's like three different kinds of opinions. People who really don't care, people who think that there's way too many bowling balls being released, and people who think there's not enough. And I'll tell you what my opinion is on all of that. So I'm filming this on May 4th. So May the 4th be with you. And I have reviewed 33 new bowling balls. And the number of balls that have been released in 2025 is actually more than 33 because there's a few balls that I just didn't review, that I didn't, you know, like I never did the Rockstar, and then a few more. The Rockstar is just one that pops in my mind. And do I think that there's too many balls, not enough balls, it's just right? I think the thought process is the biggest issue here. Because just because a company releases X amount of bowling balls per month doesn't mean that you need to drill X amount of bowling balls per month, you know? And the reality is that, you know, I worked in the pro shop for a little bit and I saw this all the time. I'll give a perfect example here. This happened multiple times working in the pro shop where someone would come in and they would say, hey, you know, my phase 2 is getting a little old, a little tired. Can you recommend me something similar to a phase 2? I said, well, if you're looking for something similar to a phase 2, let's order you a phase 2 because they're still in production. And the response, like 80% of the time, would be, oh, well, I want something newer. Why? Right? That's the question that we need to be asking. Why is that? Why do we want something that's newer? And I think that that's the reason why these companies are making so many bowling balls, because people don't want the Venom Shock, the Phase 2, the balls that have been around for a long time. They want the newest, shiniest thing on the shelf. And I think that's the biggest issue. And you know, I saw a video, I forgot the guy's name. I'll put his link up here, or picture up here. And he was talking about there's so many bowling balls and there's so much overlap. And yeah, of course there's overlap. You know, like Brunswick has to deal with 7 brands. Storm has to deal with 3 brands and Motive is on their own. But when you're dealing with multiple brands, of course there's going to be overlap. There's no way that there isn't going to be overlap. But the reality is that there are some people that would rather throw a Radical ball than a Deviate ball. How different are they? You know, not a whole lot different, I imagine. But that's the thing. If people weren't buying bowling balls, then there wouldn't be making so many bowling balls. It's just how business works, right? And I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this video is, do I think there's too many bowling balls? No, people are still buying them, right? And then, you know, people say, like, they talk about Motive, for example. I used to be on staff with Motive 6 years ago. And even then, they were doing 1 ball every 45 days. And that's still what they're doing today. 1 bowling ball every 45 days. And yeah, with the brands of Brunswick and stuff, there's a lot of balls. But they also have 7 individual brands to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the big thing to keep in mind. And then I haven't reviewed a lot of the SPI stuff. Not because I don't like them, because in fact, I do like Storm and Rotogrip and 900 Global. They just don't send me the stuff. You know, I got a kid at home and, you know, life happens, so I really can't afford to be buying a whole lot of new bowling balls. So that's why I haven't been reviewing the SPI brand balls. I would like to get to a point where I can review all of them as well. But even just reviewing some of the SPI balls, all of the Motive balls, all of the Brands of Brunswick balls, I'm at 35 balls or 33 balls already this year. So that's the one big thing that people keep bringing up. But also, I don't think that's even 1% the big issue with bowling in general. The big issue with bowling, in my opinion, is the toxicity of it all. And this is not the first time I bring this up. Even the second time, this might be the third or fourth time I bring up this toxicity in the bowling community. And some of you may deal with this, some of you may don't. I know that I deal with it a lot because of the nature of this YouTube channel. But, you know, switching over from one-handed to two-handed, and mind you, this was never going to be a permanent change. I'm eventually going to go back to one-handed. I just want to learn two-handed so that I can do reviews both one-handed and two-handed. But man, the comments are so negative. It's like, it's none of your business if I bowl one-handed or two-handed. This is my YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? And just the comments of, oh, you suck. Oh, you're fat. Oh, you can't beat me at bowling. Or, like, dude, who cares? Just shut up and bowl. Right? Like, I don't bowl and I don't have this YouTube channel because I think I'm good at bowling or I don't think I can beat anybody. I have this YouTube channel and I bowl because I love bowling. And I'm not kidding you when I say that I am like seconds away, like one inconvenient week of me never bowling again. And it has nothing to do with the bowling balls. It has nothing to do with like league or tournaments. I mean, I bowl maybe one tournament a year now because of the toxicity in the bowling community, how negative this community has become. And like when I posted my video about the string pins, right? Look, I would rather bowl than not bowl, period. And if that means bowling on string pins, then guess what? I'm bowling on string pins. And so I think the big issue is that people say, oh, well, I'm never bowling again because of the string pins. Well, they're legal. And like it or not, it's going to become our reality. And I would rather bowl than not bowl. And if you are someone who says, well, I'm never bowling because of string pins, you are part of the problem, not the solution. Okay? Also, like, why do people care how someone else delivers a bowling ball? If you think two-handed bowling is cheating, then take it up with the USBC and have the USBC make it illegal. The reality is that the USBC says that two-handed bowling is legal and completely fine. So until that changes, there's going to be more and more two-handed bowlers. And then the reality of it all is that since two-handed bowling has become more and more popular, you know, everyone says Belmo, but the earliest two-handed bowler I can remember was Oscu. But really, Belmo's the one who revolutionized the two-handed bowling. Ever since Belmo, there's been more and more and more bowlers entering the bowling space. And because of the older generation, right, if we're being honest, you know, a lot of negativity towards the kids who bowl two-handed, telling them, oh, they should learn to bowl the proper, like, what does that even mean? They're bowling. That's enough. Bowling is too small to be fighting with other bowlers about this is the way you should or should not bowl. Bowling is a dying sport. Well, sorry. I apologize for saying sport. It's a dying game, okay? And we don't have the luxury of telling people how they should or should not bowl. At this point, we should just be begging people to bowl. And I think that's the two, you know, like that's the real big issue with bowling. Not the bowling balls, because people keep buying bowling balls. On another note, one big issue that's going to start plaguing bowling is the bowling shoes. I have it on a pretty reliable source, corroborated by several other very reliable sources, that bowling shoes, if things continue the way they're going with the tariffs and stuff, this is not a political video, but if things continue with these tariffs, there's going to be like zero bowling shoes at all. I've been told that Dexter is not going to be manufacturing bowling shoes after they run out with what they have, is what I'm being told. And things need to change because, I mean, you can bowl without buying new bowling balls. There's a bunch of them. Can't bowl without shoes or bags, right? You need your bags to bring your bowling balls in. So that's my current state of bowling. The three big things, right? The looming tariffs over the shoes and bags. Again, this is not a political video. I don't talk about my political affiliations with anybody. It's not what this video is about. The amount of bowling balls being released, which in my opinion is fine, because you don't have to buy every single bowling ball, right? You can buy 1 or 2 balls a year. You could buy 1 ball every 2 years. It's fine. It's fine. The toxicity in bowling, which I've brought it up before, is the #1 biggest issue in bowling. Listen, it doesn't matter to me if you think that you can beat me at bowling. Cool. You're so much cooler than me. It really doesn't matter. Like, I'm all about growing bowling, and going around telling someone, oh, but you can't beat me at bowling. Oh, any pattern, any day. Like, cool. I'm just a guy who likes to bowl. And that should be the message that we're spreading, not the hate. I love you guys. Get you a 500 grit chamois. We'll see you next time.